Okay, let's talk about pilot tier list. I made one about a year ago and a lot of people have been asking to make a new one. Now hopefully this will be able to help you F2P considering the exclusive choice packs are pretty limited and the handbook on leveling the skills are also pretty limited. Now do keep in mind that these are based on my personal experience and my personal favorite, but I do know that I cannot please everyone, so that's fine. Now, if you're here for husbando and waifu reason, then I salute you. Like meta, right? Anyways, let's get done with it. Now, before we get down to ranking them, let's talk about the basic set system in this game. So you have your pilot, and each pilot actually has their primary skill and their secondary skill. The primary one is the one that you cannot change. It's fixed the pilot, it aids the pilots in battle, while the secondary one is the one that you can change, which aids your mecha in battle. It only benefits your mecha. So primary benefits the pilot, while secondary benefits the mecha. The secondary one can be swapped out if you want. I mean, yeah, there is husbando and waifu, right? So you want to swap that out, that's fine. So let's talk about the ranking now. Alright, we're gonna talk about primary skills first, then we'll jump down to the secondary skills. Let's start off with Ning. Her skill is Counter Strikes. Mark attacker's position for 2.5 seconds after taking damage, up to 5 seconds if you level up to max. Now, first of all, I do not recommend maxing this out because when it comes to other pilot skills, this is actually not the best one when it comes to combat advantages. Now, the reason why I don't recommend it. Now, some of you might say that this is useful. Yes, it is useful in some certain situations, especially sniping. And this skill does work when you're on your mecha. But the only problem is that every time we get attacked, right, we actually know where's that location, which direction. So while it is good, but it is not the best. So I'm gonna place this as C rank. Okay, next up we have Roam Combat Shield. This is one of the best out there. Gain 35 temporary shield for 90 seconds after kill. So after you kill someone, you gain a temporary shield for 90 seconds, up to 70 shield if you level it up to max. And definitely I recommend maxing this one out. I never max this one out because the Steam version is still pretty new. So this is very good. I will place this around A rank just because you have to meet a condition. You have to kill someone in order to gain this shield. And do keep in mind that every time you kill someone, it resets, alright? So it's really useful, especially after you shattering someone and there's two person you want to shatter, one down, one try to cryo you didn't die, and you get to finish him off. So this is very useful. I'm going to place this at A. The reason I don't place it at S because there is a condition to activate. Now moving on, we got Joanna's skill, Lethal Posture, increase 1 use of tumbling. Now, the distance honestly doesn't matter if you level this up to max 10% distance. It doesn't matter because it all comes down to your opponent's aim. So something I don't recommend maxing. So you can just keep this at level 1, but definitely A or an S tier skill. I'm gonna place it at A just because when you dodge, right? When you dodge, you don't really attack. So that's the reason why I'm gonna place Iori, but we'll talk about Iori's later. I'm gonna place Iori at S rank. So the next one is Fearless Fighter, which is Ivan's skill. Regenerate 35 HP in 4 seconds when taking damage and your HP is below 70. Now every time your HP is below 70, you'll start regenerating HP for him. It is really not that useful because now that we got Silver Decon, I'll explain about the Silver Decon later. But first of all, this one has a cooldown, and it can only activate when your HP is below 70, which means that only when you get away, this is useful. But when you're still in combat, people can actually just finish you off before you even feel that this is useful. So Ivan 1, I will really place it at B. Now, let's talk about Best Girl Iori. Wind and Snow, perform an extra jump in an air at 75% of normal distance. Now, very useful, especially when you have leg guard or you want to give your teammates leg guard so that both of you have double jump. But with leg guard, Iori can actually perform a triple jump. Now, I don't recommend maxing this one out as because you can actually get to many places already. But if you do max this one out, it actually comes kind of useful when it comes to Shadow Star combat. The reason why I want to place this at S rank is because when you jump, you can attack. But when you dodge like Joanna, you cannot attack. So definitely an S rank tier. Next up is Mila, another very useful skill, Dexterous Tumble. Reload at 75% of normal speed when tumbling. Only tumbling, not dashing. So when you dash, you cannot reload if I'm not mistaken. I never pay attention to that, but if you want to see this full effectiveness, very useful during ace time when you lose your mech and fighting one-on-one against a mech, and very useful during an SMG battle during the start of the combat. So very useful skill. 150% normal speed when tumbling. Oh my god. Quite useful, so I'm gonna place this at A rank. Okay, next up we have red skill Crimson Rhapsody. Gain 5% damage reduction for 2 seconds upon firing. So every time you fire for 2 seconds, you gain less damage when your opponent is firing at you. Now, only for 2 seconds, but you don't really need a lot when you're fighting someone, right? Now there's no cooldown interval, so I still think that every time you open fire, you gotta start and then open fire again. This is something I don't know how it works, but definitely not useful, definitely not the best as well. So again, I would really kind of place this at A. 10% damage reduction is actually quite a lot for 3 seconds if you max it. So over here we got red at A. Now Lilian skill, the operative pilot license, where it increases your movement speed at level 6 is gonna increase 10% and damage reduction when you're piloting vehicles. I'm not sure if skateboard does count, but yes, chasing people down or getting away, very useful skill, 10% movement speed for your vehicle. Unicorn, you definitely want to let her drive. Kind of want to place it at A as well. Vita, Mecha Hunter, increased 4% up to 8% damage versus Mecha and decreased 12% damage taken from Mecha. Now this is definitely an S tier rank. You give more damage to a Mecha while you receive less. Definitely you want to give her a Hydra, definitely Iron Cannon, and many more anti-Mecha weapons. Mecha Hunter, very useful in TDM, very useful in BR as well. Now, Silver Deacon skill, Survival Prayer, is very hard to talk about. So I want to talk about this skill at level 6 so that I don't confuse you. Get 25 HP shield when HP is under 60%, up to 90 times every second. Now, this skill can happen for only 90 times, which means you don't have control when this skill gets triggered. And it will only activate when your HP is below 60%. So let's say you're sitting at 20%, it's gonna gain HP up to 60% only, not more. So you kind of want to max this up, but the more you max, it has its disadvantages as well because it will happen more often, but you want to keep your HP as high as possible, right? So something you don't have control over, but definitely better than Ivan's skill. So yeah, this is just something I want to place it at A rank as well. We'll place Silver Deacon at A rank. His skill is definitely better than Ivan, so if you're ever considering who to pick, I would say him, but Ivan doesn't have a limit, 90 times limit. Now, it's like every second you gain HP, right? So every 90 seconds, like, you don't have control over this, so it is kind of bad in a way. Cyrus skill, Genius Mercenary. For 3 seconds after switching weapon, increase 5% damage bonus, 20-second cooldown. So every time you switch weapon, which you never pay attention unless you're pretty good, you have big brain, then this is a skill that's really useful. So if you max it to 6, I don't recommend maxing this actually. But actually more damage, but that's switching weapon. In combat, many things can happen where you want to switch different kind of roles. So I don't really recommend this skill and I don't know how to rank it, but I'll probably place it at C, but probably a D because you really can pay attention to weapon switching, right? We cover all of the pilot. Let's cover the secondary skills. So Hive Infrastructure, 168 currently at mine, 210 max mecha durability. If you want some extra HP, you want to play tanky, this is actually very useful for all mech. It fits everyone, so I'm gonna place this at A. Hive Infrastructure and A tier. Next one is Expeditious Charge, which is Joanna's skill. Fit every mecha actually, but it's pretty useful against Hurricane or Andromeda and even Arthur. But again, if you have a very terrible fuel consumption, if you have a pretty bad habit of spending fuel, then this skill is probably not gonna help you in any way. So if you have a bad fuel consumption habit, fix that instead of using this skill. I want to place this skill at A rank because it fits everyone. Combat Control, Roam skill, decrease 7% combat skill cooldown for mecha. Very useful when you try to pair up with Detect as well. It can go up to, if I'm not mistaken, 15 or 14%. But again, when it comes to fixing a lot of mecha, it doesn't really seem to work. So it doesn't change a lot. Like, I don't feel a lot of difference, but it is useful for mecha such as Arthur or Venturus. But still, you can't really tell a big difference, okay? So you still, if you play the skill, you still have to maneuver or covering yourself and stuff like that. A very wide topic to talk about this, but not much of a difference when you put up to someone. Or I could be wrong, but still, I would place this at B. Hails of Bullets, Cyrus skill, very useful if you watch Yutar's video. Including the tag, you can go up to 33% reload rate, which in Neutron, Hurricanes, or even Firefall, especially the mecha that goes through magazine reload trio, so they can actually reload about 1.5 seconds or 1 second faster, which is very useful for Neutron and Hurricane because they spam their bullets pretty fast. This is an S tier. You want to max this out if you main Hurricane. Now this goes with every other mecha except Arthur and Raven because they don't reload. So, but when it comes to requirement wise, I would say Firefox or Hurricane or even Neutron Stars, they are the high demand for these skills. So Hails of Bullet, definitely an S rank. Quick shield recharge, increase 18% shield recovery, decrease 27% recovery cooldown. Now let's talk about shield. Shield activates after you're not getting, the shield recovery will activate after you're not getting hit for, I think if I'm not mistaken, it's 8 or 12 seconds. I kind of forget about that. And what this skill does is that it's gonna increase your shield recovery rate. It recovers faster. And the way for the 8 seconds or 12 seconds trigger to cooldown to start is decreased by 27% or 30%. Very useful. It's gonna decrease 3 seconds if it's 10 seconds or something like that. But I don't know. I kind of forget. But very useful skill. So I'm gonna place this skill at A rank because it's not always a thing that you use. It has a cooldown. It has a shield has cooldown and stuff like that. But definitely not useless, so I would place this at A. Now, Fatal Verdict, this is Zero Decon skill. Fatal Verdict, primary weapon gains 5.5% attack bonus versus Mecha more than 150 meters away. And if you put up tech, you put up the Grand Boom damage. If you take the terminals that gain damage, Gabriel can go up to 1.5 to 1.6 damage if it's headshot. It can actually one-shot pilot if you want. So this skill is very useful, definitely an S rank. The only downside is that if someone gets close to you, this skill doesn't really seem to be matter. Now this skill doesn't seem to work on Raven, but only seems to work on Gabriel and Kuma. Raven doesn't seem to gain a lot from this. This is based on my observation. So definitely Fatal Verdict S rank. Pursuit Program, this is Lilian's skill, increase 5% movement speed for 3 seconds, but only once every 9.5 seconds upon scoring a hit with secondary weapon. Now this is not very useful. First of all, you don't know when do you want to use your secondary attack. It does give you like an extra movement speed, 10% at level 6 and cooldowns of 7 seconds. Again, your secondary skill also has cooldown and you have to score a hit with your secondary weapon. So I don't know if this is useful. I've never think about it in a useful way, but it seems like it can be kind of useful. But 10% movement speed only when you trigger secondary weapon, but your secondary weapon again has a cooldown. So I'm gonna place this at C. Strong Interference, increase 15% duration up to 30% duration of debuff caused by mechas to enemies. Now the only mechas with debuff is Arthur, Raven, and right now there's a couple of mech that can actually slow people, but when it comes to the most useful one, it is always Firestar. Burning is considered a debuff and you want to increase the duration, then slap it on Firestar. This is only very useful for Firestar because Arthur and Andromeda and the slow one doesn't really tell a lot different because their percentage are really slow, really low. So definitely an A if you're using Firestar. Extreme Viper, increase 0.5% damage dealt for every 10% durability loss. So the more durability you lose, the more damage you gain, but can only go up to 1% at level 6. Now if you lose 90%, you gain 9% damage. Now not a very useful one, but let's talk about Michael, the new mech. Now it's a mech that you actually go in and throw everything at it. We don't know if there's gonna be a nerf or buff yet, but if you're playing TDM, this could be quite useful if you're the suicide kind of type for your team. But again, you always want to keep your durability at least 50 to 60%, so kind of risky and doesn't get a lot if your durability is high. Can't tell difference, so I'm gonna place this at C as well. But in some situations, it could be an A, it could be useful to you. So maybe B or C, but I'm gonna put it at B, maybe just B, man. Self-repair device, this is Iori skill, restore 10 durability every 4 seconds after disengaging. After you coming up with Mecha, you gain durability, so it's gonna get 20 durability every 4 seconds if it's level 6. Very useful during ace time and very useful when you're trying to hide in City Hall or some crappy place and then you want to resummon your mech again. So a very useful skill, if you want to save your repairs, a very useful skill when you're hiding. So definitely an A or B. I mean, it does help you save out your repairs, right? Especially when you finish a combat and then everything is safe again. Yeah, very useful. Not very useful in TDM though. So I'm gonna place it at B again. Alright, the last one, Gravity Amplifier. This is item skill. Decrease 5% max mecha durability. The durability reduced is converted it into shield. So your durability is gonna get decreased by 10% if it's level 6 and goes to shield. The reason why shield it goes to shield, there's no difference, right? But the only reason why shield is better is because shield regenerate. Durability does not. Durability only get repair. Shield after 8 seconds or 12 seconds of being hit, your mecha is gonna start regenerating shield. Now, not really useful in, I don't know, if you're low in repair, yeah, but yeah, I'm gonna place this at C. You can often repair, right? So when it comes to Iori skill is kind of better in my personal opinion. You wanna wait for shield to cooldown, why not just use Iori skill, right? But yeah, it kind of like a D-max situation as well. You might not disagree with this list, but over the course of making a pilot tier list last year and this year, I kind of find a lot of difference in it. And I know I cannot impress everyone. You might disagree with me, but there are some skills that are useful. There are some skills that are useful. There are some skills that are useful in certain situations. There are some skills that are useful in TDM and separate in BR. So what you personally think about this skill, leave it down in the comment section below. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you want to see more Super Mecha Champion content. Thank you all so much for watching Ace Just Gaming Channel.